The magic for me of building products is seeing other people use them, get the spark of delight when they start using it in ways that I completely didn't expect. My name is Calvin. I work on the Codex team as an engineer here at OpenAI. It's come together really quickly, but the end result that we're launching to the world is something that frankly is pretty magical in my opinion and has sort of changed the way that I write software as an engineer. Typically when engineers are running services, there's one person or a couple people on the team who act as the on-call. So they're kind of the first line of defense as a firefighter for the team. And actually I'm that this week, so it's particularly top of mind for me. At any moment, I might get paged and have to abandon whatever I was working on and context switch to this new thing to figure out what's going on. There are a couple of things that Codex really helps with here. Oftentimes when you're on call, you'll get some sort of alert and you'll kind of look through the error logs and you'll see, oh, hey, there's an error at this one particular part of the code base. And sometimes it's something I'm familiar with, but sometimes it's not. When the minutes and seconds matter in terms of responding to an issue, the first thing I'll do is just fire off that stack trace into Codex to understand where the issue is happening and see if it can fix it. Usually I'll do that as a first line of defense, and often the results that comes back are pretty good.
Make you do what you gotta do.
I'm actually getting paged right now. Let's see. So right now we have a high number of error or rollouts which are failing. This alert has been a little flaky though. Every time. Oops. Okay. Okay. Another thing that I use Codex for is tuning our alerting. Right now, since we're about to go into launch, we haven't fully tuned this to where it needs to be. Sometimes we get alerting and it's kind of a false positive. Where you used to kind of work as an individual engineer and you'd have your task and you'd be writing code. Now it allows you to work almost more like you're your own team or like a manager of a team. I can just send it over to Codex. Now I can just consider it done.
The best products that we've released have come out of internally using them. My name is Nacho. I'm an iOS and macOS engineer at OpenAI. One way that I've been thinking about the interaction of human-computer, there's two bottlenecks. Sometimes my brain is the bottleneck. Other times my hands are the bottleneck. Sometimes I'm working a hard problem and I'm just struggling to think about it, right? My brain is a bottleneck. I need to spend more time whiteboarding or thinking about the solution. But other times my hands are the bottleneck. I know I have the code in my head. It's relatively straightforward. I just need to actually write it. I can use AI to work on things that maybe they're trivial, but I'm no longer limited by the speed of my hands. Codex actually helped me begin the integration of Codex on the ChatGPT iOS app. And I wanted Codex to set up the scaffolding. Do you want me to do a demo or?
I would love that.
For example, I asked it to create a separate Swift package. Codex set up the basics of the project. So by the time I got to my desk, I had that started for me and I could get started on the actual features. One thing I want to be able to see is archived Codex tasks. So I'm going to type that right now. And I can just tap send. And it's going to get the process started for me. I can actually follow along the progress with a live activity. As a developer, I can only work on one thing at a time, but if I know I need to do 5 things, I can get them started. And so by the time I'm done with this one task, I already have the starting point for the next one. It is another engineer in your team. I'm excited for developers to realize that we can do more and faster. This is already a massive change in productivity and how I work.
So I remember when there was this sort of Web 2.0 movement where people were like, wow, we can make websites interactive and more engaging and more applications in and of themselves. But then, of course, there was the mobile paradigm where all of a sudden people had these computers in their pockets. So those definitely stand out. And yeah, this feels like one of those kind of transcendent moments. My name is Max Johnson. I'm a software engineer here at OpenAI, working on ChatGPT Codex. This is a special launch. I've never actually worked on a product that I felt as connected with as this one, because I use it every day. It's solving a very real problem that I have in my work. When I'm working day to day, I'm constantly seeing problems with the code, little paper cuts, things that don't meet best practices, or maybe they're little bugs that maybe they matter, maybe they don't really matter, but may bite someone in the butt later on, for not paying attention. And if I go down and try to solve all these problems myself in the moment, I would just never build anything new, right? Nothing would get done. With Codex, what's really cool is when I see these paper cuts, when I see these little problems, I don't have to break my attention. I can fire them off into Codex and come back to them in 30 minutes or an hour when it's done. And slowly over time, the quality of the code base goes up without any real additional investment of my attention and my time. Let me show you an example. So recently I was working on a piece of our code, which is sort of a testing harness for our backend. And I noticed the code had a few problems where I felt, could be better. But I don't know if they really rise to the level of me interrupting my main work, starting a new branch, a new PR, just to fix these things. So instead, I'll just fire them off into Codex. I see that there's a retry strategy here, but it looks like part of the logic was deleted as part of a refactor, which is unfortunate, but common. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over to Codex, and I'll just say, in this file, it looks like there was a regression in the request JSON method retry implementation. I'll just say review the behavior from before the problem was introduced, and then reintroduce that behavior and fix the bug. There's so much to build, and these little chores sometimes feel like they're standing in the way of the most important and impactful work that we could be doing. And so being able to hand them off to a model is super empowering. I've never felt more engaged or excited to be an engineer than I do right now.